Good evening, it's Tuesday the 25th of November and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Afghan crisis. Pakistani airstrike flattens civilian home, killing multiple innocent men, women and children. Diplomatic standoff. Kremlin firmly rejects European counter-proposal to US peace plan for Ukraine. Holiday safety. Experts warn of explosive Christmas tree mishaps as families nationwide prepare for Christmas.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Sydney Adhikari.
Good evening and thank you once again for joining us on World News Tonight on Derana News Channel. According to Taliban sources in Afghanistan Khost province, in a tragic escalation, a Pakistani airstrike has reportedly destroyed a civilian house, killing at least 10 people, including 9 children and 1 woman.
The Pakistani airstrike in Khost province represents a severe escalation in cross-border tensions in the region. Taliban sources report that the attack targeted a civilian home, causing catastrophic destruction. Eyewitnesses say the house was completely flattened, leaving no survivors inside, highlighting the devastating human cost of such strikes. Among the victims were 9 children and 1 woman, underscoring the indiscriminate nature of the bombing. Families in Khost, already grappling with years of conflict, face further trauma as communities mourn the loss of the youngest and most vulnerable members. The incident has sparked outrage among local leaders and humanitarian groups demanding accountability. This strike raises serious questions about regional security and adherence to international law. Cross-border military actions, especially those that impact civilians, risk escalating conflicts between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Observers warn that repeated incidents like this could destabilize the area further, complicating peace efforts and humanitarian access to affected communities.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi spoke by phone with US President Donald Trump today, marking their first conversation since she sparked a major diplomatic rift with Beijing over comments about Taiwan. Trump briefed her on his recent call with China Xi and reaffirmed close US-Japan cooperation.
The phone conversation between Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and US President Donald Trump comes after a tense period in East Asian diplomacy. Earlier this month, Takaichi's remarks suggesting that Japan might respond militarily to a hypothetical Chinese attack on Taiwan triggered a sharp backlash from Beijing, including travel restrictions and heightened diplomatic warnings. The call with Trump represents an effort to stabilize communication channels and clarify Japan's position amid rising regional tensions. During the discussion, Trump briefed Takaichi on his recent phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping, signaling Washington's continued involvement in maintaining dialogue with Beijing. The leaders emphasized the importance of transparency and coordination between the United States and Japan on strategic issues, particularly regarding Taiwan, the South China Sea, and broader Indo-Pacific security concerns. Analysts view the conversation as a reaffirmation of the US-Japan alliance despite recent friction. Takaichi also highlighted the personal rapport she shares with Trump, noting that he encouraged her to call anytime. This personal dimension of diplomacy can play a critical role in easing tensions and fostering cooperation, even as both countries navigate delicate geopolitical challenges. Observers suggest that maintaining close US-Japan coordination is key to counterbalancing China's growing regional influence.
US President Donald Trump has announced he will visit Beijing in April after accepting an invitation from Chinese President Xi Jinping during a recent phone call. He also extended a reciprocal invitation for Xi to make a state visit to the US next year.
US President Donald Trump announced that he has accepted an invitation from Chinese President Xi Jinping to visit Beijing in April. The White House confirmed that the offer was made during a telephone call between the two leaders on Monday morning, where they discussed a wide range of bilateral issues and ongoing geopolitical challenges. Among the topics were China's subdued purchases of American soybeans, the war in Ukraine, and rising tensions over Taiwan. The latest call comes several weeks after the two leaders held a summit in South Korea. In a social media post following Monday's call, President Trump described the conversation as productive, saying the two leaders addressed China's exports of chemicals used in fentanyl production, progress on farm imports, and cooperation on the war in Ukraine. He said both sides had made meaningful progress since their summit in South Korea, and added now was the time to set sights on the big picture. The Chinese government also released its account of the call. State media reported that President Xi urged both nations to preserve what he described as the positive momentum achieved in South Korea. Beijing emphasized that the Ukraine conflict remains a priority and said that China is seeking further communication with Washington on international security concerns. The Chinese readout also contained stronger language on Taiwan. According to Beijing, President Xi stressed that China views Taiwan's return as an essential component of the post-war international order and reiterated that Beijing expects Washington to respect what it describes as China's core interests. President Trump has previously said that Taiwan was not discussed during the South Korea summit, but White House officials have yet to clarify whether it was raised during Monday's call. Meanwhile, as part of that diplomatic push, President Trump also confirmed that he has invited President Xi for a formal state visit to the United States. Both visits are expected to frame the next phase in the effort to restore more predictable relations between the world's two largest economies.
Tens of thousands of Queensland state school teachers staged a 24-hour strike today, marking their second walkout this year. They're calling for better pay, safer classrooms, and more staff amid rejected wage offers and broken negotiations.
A sea of maroon seeing red.
Pay rise now! Pay rise now!
Fired up under searing sun and turning up the heat. After rejecting an 8% pay rise over 3 years on a mission for more than money.
What do we want? Safety! Where do we want it? Now!
Rallying before marching through the CBD.
Teachers united will never be defeated.
It will make no difference to what we're trying to achieve. All they're doing is impacting parents and caregivers across the state, as well as costing themselves wages.
A rocky road to arbitration where more disagreement awaits. Teachers only want to arbitrate what they haven't agreed on and want a 3% pay rise in the meantime.
If they were to do that, offer us that, as well as narrowing the matters of which we haven't agreed on at this point, we would consent to going to arbitration early.
No, look, I'm sorry. You can't just say, oh, look, out of the bits that we really wanted, can we please have this bit before we go to discuss the rest?
Our teachers deserve to be valued now, paid a decent wage now, and David Christofouli is refusing to do that.
The fight drags on.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. The Kremlin has outright rejected a European counter-proposal to the US's 28-point peace plan for Ukraine, calling it completely unconstructive and incompatible with Moscow's interest. This could escalate what has already considered to be a fragile relationship between the two nations.
The Kremlin said on Monday that a European counter-proposal to a US 28-point peace plan for Ukraine was not constructive, and that it simply did not work for Moscow.
Forward to the just and lasting peace.
The original US peace plan, which came out last week, blindsided Kiev and European allies. It also deepened concerns that Russia's core demands had been accepted by Washington. The plan included calls for Ukraine to cede some territory, accept limits on its military, and renounce ambitions to join NATO. But the revised European counterplan, agreed after talks in Geneva, considerably changes the significance and meaning of key points. According to a copy reviewed, it would halt fighting at present front lines, leaving discussions of territory for later and include a NATO-style US security guarantee for Ukraine. On Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin said US proposals for peace in Ukraine could be the basis of a resolution to the conflict, but that if Kiev turned down the plan, Russian forces would advance further.
Today, the Pentagon announced an investigation into Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain, citing serious allegations of misconduct after he appeared in a video urging troops to refuse illegal orders. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Kelly could be recalled to active duty and face a court-martial under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Kelly pushed back, calling the threat intimidation and vowing to defend his constitutional duty.
The Pentagon on Monday threatened to recall U.S. Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain, to active duty status in order to prosecute him. In a statement, the Pentagon said it was reviewing serious allegations of misconduct against Kelly. While it did not say what charges the Democratic senator could face if it took such an extraordinary step, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth posted remarks on X. He accused Kelly and other lawmakers of sedition over a video posted on November 18.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
The lawmaker's message came amid heightened concerns that the Trump administration is violating the law by ordering the U.S. military to kill suspected drug traffickers in strikes on their vessels in Latin American waters.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
The Pentagon says those strikes are justified because the drug smugglers are considered terrorists. President Donald Trump has also accused Kelly and the other Democrats of sedition, saying in a social media post that the crime was punishable by death. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, sedition and mutiny are among the most serious offenses and can be punishable by death. In a statement, Kelly said he would not be intimidated by the Pentagon's recall threat. He said he had given too much to his country to be silenced by bullies who care more about power than protecting the Constitution.
According to the Central Election Commission, Sinisa Karan, a close ally of ousted Bosnian Serb leader Milorad Dodik, has won a snap presidential election in Republika Srpska with about 50.89% of the vote. The opposition is already calling for a rerun in several areas, alleging irregularities.
Former Republika Srpska President Milorad Dodik, barred from running again, led out his stand-in candidate Sinisa Karan after Karan won the statelet's snap election. The separatist Dodik had been stripped of his powers by a state court and banned from holding office for 6 years after repeatedly flouting decisions by the High Representative for Bosnia-Herzegovina.
They wanted to remove Dodik in an unfair and purely political court case. And now what they got are two Dodiks.
The High Representative for Bosnia-Herzegovina is a position filled by a foreigner tasked with seeing the implementation of the 1995 Dayton Agreement in all of the country, which is divided into two autonomous entities, the Bosnia-Croat Federation and the Serb-majority Republika Srpska. Dodik's victorious ally, a former Interior Minister, beat a nationalist drum.
Serbian people can endure anything, but they will never tolerate humiliation by foreigners who think they can destroy their will.
But the opposition SDS cried foul, saying that their tallies from polling stations around the territory show that their candidate, Branko Blanusha, had won.
I can say that I am very satisfied with the result I got, and I am absolutely certain that without the aforementioned electoral manipulation, I would have already been able to declare my election victory this evening.
Blanusha, a little-known engineer, had previously levelled corruption allegations against Dodik. The removal of the former president from office had plunged Bosnia, which is ruled by a weak central administration, into its most critical crisis since the end of the war in 1995. Karan will hold office only till next October, when the next regular election in the statelet is due to take place.
French President Emmanuel Macron is set to reintroduce a 10-month voluntary military service for 18-year-olds beginning next year, offering pay of around 900 to 1,000 euros. The plan aims for 3,000 recruits in 2026, swelling to 50,000 by 2035 amid rising European security concerns.
With its obstacle courses and gift of time to the nation, it was once a rite of passage for young men in France. But is military service about to become commonplace again? As he promised last July, President Emmanuel Macron looks set to unveil the outlines of a new voluntary service in the coming days.
Yes, we are working on this, but the key word here is voluntary.
According to newspaper La Tribune de Dimanche, from next year, young people aged 18 who wish to do so could volunteer for 10 months of service, with remuneration of between 900 and 1,000 euros a month. The aim is to recruit 3,000 volunteers in 2026, reaching 50,000 by 2035. So what do today's young people think? Are they ready to commit? Well, some aren't interested. Others already feel a calling, despite their parents' concerns. Words that echo French General Fabien Mondon's warning last week that France should be ready to lose children with the threat from Russia on Europe's doorstep. The general later clarified his statement.
I understand how my remark would have worried people, but the point was to warn so that we are prepared. I have great confidence in our country and our army.
France's European neighbours are also moving towards voluntary military service. Belgium has just revived the idea, and Germany is also considering it.
Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces, led by General Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, announced they will immediately enter a unilateral 3-month humanitarian ceasefire beginning now. The truce is tied to a mediator's plan backed by the US, UAE, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, even as Sudan's army chief refuses to lay down arms.
The head of Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, said on Monday that his fighters will enter a 3-month humanitarian truce in their war with the Sudanese army. The announcement, which appeared to announce a unilateral ceasefire, came after U.S. President Donald Trump last week pledged to intervene to end the conflict that has plunged Sudan into famine.
We hope the Quad countries will play their role in pushing the other side to engage with this step, and with international efforts aiming to achieve the interests of the Sudanese people.
Earlier this month, the U.S., the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, known as the Quad, proposed a truce followed by peace talks. The RSF initially agreed, but then launched drone strikes on army positions. The paramilitary's announcement came a day after Sudan's army chief rejected the Quad's proposals and criticized the inclusion of the UAE as a mediator, which has been widely accused of arming the RSF. The Gulf state has denied such accusations and said it aims to stop the war. The RSF faces backlash over brutal civilian attacks after seizing al-Fashir in late October, which cemented its control of the Darfur region. In a speech on Sunday, Sudan's army chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, accused the U.S. of aiming to cripple his forces while letting the RSF keep the territory it has seized. He also denied what he said were U.S. accusations of Islamist influence in his government. The war in Sudan, which broke out in April 2023 over disagreements on integrating the two groups, has killed tens of thousands of civilians, particularly in ethnically based bloodshed. The RSF faces genocide allegations, while both Dagalo and Burhan are under U.S. sanctions.
Time for a short break now. We'll be right back with more world news. Welcome back. During a Sun Spaces game in Phoenix, 3-year-old Sterling unexpectedly stole the spotlight when his image appeared on the Jumbotron. Attending his first NBA game with his father Christopher, Sterling's smiles and waves quickly went viral on social media, capturing the hearts of fans nationwide.
Basketball stars had to compete for the audience's attention after this cutie popped up on the Jumbotron during a Suns-Pacers game in Phoenix. 3-year-old Sterling was attending his first NBA game with his dad when he unexpectedly became the most popular fan of the night. It's a good thing he likes it, because this video went viral, dubbing him Popcorn Kid. His dad, Christopher, says he had no idea how much Sterling's little smiles and waves would ripple throughout social media.
I don't even know what the true definition of viral was until this week.
Some videos of Sterling got millions of views on TikTok. So to celebrate, Sterling and his whole family were treated to another set of game tickets courtesy of the Phoenix Suns.
As Christmas decorations go up across the country, experts are sharing safety advice after several viral videos showed holiday trees bursting open with surprising force during unwrapping. Simple precautions for families at home. Meanwhile, the holiday season officially began at the White House as First Lady Melania Trump welcomed this year's Christmas tree.
You get your Christmas tree home and can't wait to set it up. First step, clip the strings holding it together. But what happens when your Christmas tree suddenly bursts open? A similar thing happened in the holiday comedy Christmas Vacation. Sometimes the sheer force of the unwrapping can catch you by surprise.
Sometimes when the tree is very large, it can be so wound up tight that it just explodes if you do it all at once in one shot.
The holiday season officially kicked off at the White House today when First Lady Melania welcomed the White House Christmas tree. The 25-foot fir from Michigan will be displayed in the Blue Room of the White House. We're certain this won't happen to Melania.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Sitmia Dikari, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of Berlin's festive spirit rising with giant snow angels. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.adnc.english@deran.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Thank you for watching World News Tonight on Deran News Channel. Have a good night.